Let's talk about a current event, a news story sweeping the nation. The riff heard round the world from the hit Netflix show Stranger Things. Apparently in the season finale, Eddie Munson, which is a character on the show, I guess he's like the metal guy on the show. In the season finale, he played Master of Puppets. I haven't watched this show. I watched like the first episode years ago, so I don't really understand the show. But Eddie Munson playing Metallica's Master of Puppets in the Upside Down to Lure the Demo Bats is one of the top 5 coolest things I've seen on Stranger Things. Here's the clip. But first, I want to thank Capulet Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Capulet Fest 2022 is on Sunday, July 31st at Fett Music Hall in Providence, Rhode Island. And it's got a huge lineup, including bands like I Set My Friends on Fire, Life in Your Way, The Letter Black, Rivals, Convictions, and many, many more. General admission tickets are still available, as well as a limited number of VIP tickets, which include a general admission ticket, exclusive viewing from the balcony, early access, a free Capulet Fest t-shirt, and a Capulet Fest poster. And they are limited, so if you want to get that VIP, I would suggest you do it soon. So if that sounds cool to you, hit the link in the description of this video to get your ticket, or follow Capulet Ent on Instagram or Facebook for more information. And thanks again to Capulet Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Here's the clip. And I guess this must be a demo bat lured in by the riffing of Master of Puppets. Here it comes. So that's the clip. And apparently, you know, as is always the case when anything metal gets into the mainstream, some people were excited about it, but a lot of people were apparently not excited about it because I guess, you know how metal fans are. On the one hand, they're always telling people, they're always saying, oh, I wish metal was back in the mainstream again. I wish more people would get into this stuff. But as soon as metal is in the mainstream and people start getting into it, then they get pissed off and call all those people posers and tell them to go away and that they shouldn't like the thing. And it was apparently bad enough that Metallica sort of, I don't know if issuing a statement is the right way to put it, but Metallica said something about it. So they posted a TikTok of it. Here you can see one of the top comments was, "I'm sorry, Metallica, for all the fake Stranger Things fans. Love you." And so Metallica replied, "Don't be sorry. Everyone is welcome in the Metallica family. If they like puppets, chances are they'll find plenty of other songs to get into." And then they went ahead and pinned this comment. FYI, everyone is welcome in the Metallica family, whether you've been a fan for 40 hours or 40 years. We all share a bond through music. All of you started at ground zero at one point in time. So it's kind of sad that they even felt like they had to say this because, for one, like, it's not like Metallica is some sort of obscure band that nobody knew about, right? It's not like this is like Creator or Sodom or something like that. Like, Metallica is the most popular metal band of all time, like arguably the most popular rock band, at least in the last 50 years. So the idea that because of Netflix and TikTok that somehow, you know, all these normies were introduced to Metallica, I think is, I don't know, kind of a weird assumption. But at the same time, like, it legitimately did create a lot more demand for their music, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the idea that, like, somehow this was like their secret band that, you know, nobody knew about until Netflix came along is kind of weird to me. In metal, there's this weird thing where there's this purity test of like how long you have been a fan or how you discovered it. And if you don't kind of check the right boxes, then you're a fake fan, right? Like, I remember when the Black Album came out, which was what, 90, 91, and that blew up. And all kinds of people got into the band then. And then the older fans who were, you know, the old school thrash people looked down on the people that got into it from the Black Album. But really, it's like, why should anybody care, like, when you got into it? Or like, it's just like this sort of never ending purity test in metal is just absolutely exhausting. And I like that they pointed out all of you started at ground zero at one point in time, because remember, even if you do sort of accept the premise that there's such a thing as a clueless poser that, doesn't know anything about the genre, which I think is sort of a toxic, shitty thing to even think in the first place. But even if you accept that that person is a thing, we were all that person at one point, right? Like, I saw Suicidal Tendencies on MTV in 1990. That's what got me into all this shit. MTV, just like everyone else. Like, half the people complaining and gatekeeping Metallica on this, got into the shit because they heard Limp Bizkit on TRL 20 years ago. So I'm glad that they sort of reminded their audience, all of you started at ground zero at one point in time. The other thing that I find kind of disappointing about this is, that this does legitimately grow the genre. Like it says in the chat, metal fans should be happy that metal is a reference in any cultural artifact. If there aren't any of them, then metal will go the way of the dodo. Exactly. The thing to keep in mind here is that, like, Netflix is huge and Stranger Things is one of their most popular shows. Like, what does Netflix have now? Like 150 million subscribers or something? Massive platform. There's an example of the power of this from last month. Stranger Things is set in 1986, I guess. And so there was another scene where this girl played this Kate Bush song, Running Up the Hill, or running up that hill. Like, that was her song that she played to, summon the demons or whatever it is. That song came out 37 years ago. It was never a particularly huge song, even when it came out. But because of that, just because of the power of Stranger Things, and then it took off on TikTok as well, it went to number 1 on Spotify's top songs in the US, number 5 on Billboard's Hot 100, and broke UK records after hitting number 1 again. That is how big of a platform this is and how powerful it can be. That 40 years after it came out, basically, it can become a hit again. And so I looked on Spotify to see what it did for Metallica, and it looks like the same thing. So you can see here, the number 1 song, top 50 in the USA, is still the Kate Bush song. But look, Metallica, Master of Puppets, is number 6, above Bad Bunny, Doja Cat, Post Malone, Jack Harlow, Lizzo, Future, Harry Styles. I mean, if you're one of these people who wants metal to be popular again and wants metal to be in the mainstream, you got your wish. Master of Puppets, not even one of the shitty, there's sort of this idea among Metallica fans that anything from the Black Album and afterwards is like their, shitty sellout, portion of their catalog, which, I don't necessarily agree with that. But this is like, no matter who you are, like, this is one of the most legit thrash songs of all time. Like, if you're the most diehard, like, bandana thrash, denim vest type Metallica fan, you gotta love Master of Puppets, right? Like, everybody can agree that this song is great. And here it is, number 6 on the top 50 charts. So the idea that anybody would be upset about that is insane. And this is true too. Trickle down, that's even good for your local metal bands down the road. Absolutely. Because remember, just the way this has worked for everyone, you get into whatever entry-level band because you saw it on TV or Netflix or TikTok or whatever it is, and that's how you get into everything else. I've joked about it before, but the Olivia Rodrigo to Infinite Annihilator pipeline is real. It's going to happen. Somebody is going to get into this stuff because they heard Good For You on TikTok or whatever, and then they go down the rabbit hole, and years later, they're listening to Infinite Annihilator. I guarantee it's going to happen. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. This is also true. It's not just Spotify. It's also true for the physical media as well. Discogs posted this. If you're not familiar, Discogs is like the marketplace for like vinyl, basically, or for physical media. And they said Metallica's Master of Puppets album went from averaging 80 daily adds to the want list to over 560 additions to the want list on July 2nd, after Stranger Things 4 Volume 2 featured their song. So 613% increase in want list for the physical media. So it's not just streams, like people want Metallica vinyl because of this show. So again, even if you're one of these like diehard thrash purists or like streaming sucks, TikTok sucks, only physical media, only vinyl is real, well, you got your wish. It's even increasing demand for the vinyl. I heard from Rick Beato's recent video, Kate Bush didn't have tour merch at all. So good for her. I'm making some money 35 or 40 years later. Exactly. And look at it. Stranger Things is more of a cringy show, and cringe appeals to more mainstream people. That will lead to more of these people who've never heard or cared about metal. Hey, that could be true, but I've never watched Stranger Things other than like 5 minutes of the first episode because unlike you guys, I'm not a nerd. Stranger Things is for nerds like you, not me. But it's true. I mean, it's as mainstream as it gets. But everyone seems to think it's a good show. So Metallica's happy about it. Kate Bush is happy about it. Kate Bush thanks Stranger Things fans for boosting the song. I mean, how could you not be? She said, you might have heard the first part of that fantastic, gripping new series of Stranger Things has been released on Netflix. It features the song Running Up That Hill, which is being given a whole new lease on life by the young fans who love the show. I love it too. Because of this, Running Up That Hill is charting around the world and has entered the UK chart at number 8. It's all really exciting. Metallica said the same thing. Metallica applauds Stranger Things for epic use of Master of Puppets. It's an incredible honor. They're excited about it. So I find it very interesting when you see this kind of discrepancy or difference in what the artists think versus what the fans think. Like, the fans are the ones who are like rushing out there to gatekeep this and keep people away from it. But the actual artists are like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm excited about this. If the artists are excited about it, if the artists are on board with it, why wouldn't the fans be on board with it? I think it's very strange. Yeah, the Shining Knight Metallica fans defending Metallica's honor. Iron Maiden were also happy they got referenced in Stranger Things. I think this is right. Fans want it to be special and sacred, but come on, Metallica is mainstream as fuck. They aren't special nor sacred. Exactly. And that's what the fans want. They want it to be their thing, but it's not your thing. Especially when it comes to something as mainstream as Metallica. But like, no music is your thing. You don't own it. You're just a fan. So the idea that there's anything virtuous or that somehow by gatekeeping it, the new people that just discovered it, that somehow you're like defending the integrity of the music is just silly. You know, it's kind of disappointing to see that there's apparently enough people, you know, gatekeeping this, that Metallica felt like they had to say something about it. That said, it is encouraging. You know, 37,000 people liked their comments saying that everyone was welcome. So hopefully it's just a vocal minority of fans. I feel like there was a lot of whining from 30 to 50-year-old dudes on TikTok. I mean, imagine being 30-something years old arguing about Metallica on TikTok. That's a moment where you should look in the mirror and say, where have I gone wrong? What did I do? What choice led me down this dark road? It's never too late to change, my friends. So I thought this was kind of an interesting example of this thing that just keeps happening. You know, it's kind of like Star Wars fans are like this too. A lot of these like more nerdy kind of fandoms where liking the thing becomes your whole identity is where you see a lot of gatekeeping. And it's a very interesting dynamic where the people who claim to like a thing seem to hate it more than anyone. Like, who hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans? They're always complaining about it. And I feel like it's the same thing like with metal. You know, these people who claim to love metal, well, all they do is complain about things that are clearly good for the genre, like Metallica being on Stranger Things. Now, we've seen the power of Netflix and TikTok, especially together, to get people to discover old music that otherwise they would never hear about. I guess Past the Duchy by Musical Youth also has been trending recently on TikTok. Fleetwood Mac, same thing. So, you know, if you're one of these people who believes that it's important for kids to know their roots, you should be excited about this stuff. And I'm happy to see that a lot of people are pushing back on this. And I feel like the tide has turned a little bit where gatekeeping is not cool anymore. Like, people look down on gatekeepers now. Of course, it's still out there, but I think the tide has turned. I think everyone realizes that gatekeeping sucks and that those people are annoying and no one wants them around and that it hurts the genre. But obviously it's still happening enough that Metallica needed to say something about it. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess Stranger Things is coming back with season 5. So all I hope is that they put like Creator, Sodom, Tool, all the bands out there with the most irritating fandom. I want all of them to be in season 5 just so I can see all these fans just fucking melt down about it. Put Radiohead in there, Deftones, Mr. Bungle, all of these bands that just have this fandom where it's one big insufferable circle jerk. Put them all in Stranger Things season 5 just so that I can watch them melt down. That's what I want. Millennials are big gatekeepers, it's true. Although, you know, maybe it's only because Gen X people are like too old to use the internet. I don't know. Exactly. Imagine gatekeeping the most entry-level band in metal. That's what I think is funny. All millennial men know is gatekeep and Funko Pop. Exactly. Hey, you keep the green M&M's name out of your fucking mouth. You hear me? I'll have none of that.